people can come into us talking, and then it'll be like, "Oh, hey, sorry, I started recording without you knowing." Or in the middle of your dissertation on the different styles of boats, who buys different styles of boats, Venn diagrams between boats and trucks and off-road vehicles, and it'd be interesting.
So, by the way,
I thought my dissertation.
That's going to be the start of our podcast here today. Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello,
welcome to the episode. I think this is
Column
episode 5.
Shifter podcast about boats.
We just spent the better part of
podcasts.
Correction,
you came to the right place. But we're talking about boats.
We just spent the better part of 30 minutes me trying to get everything all kajiggered so I can record things properly.
I really doubted you were listening to me the whole time when
I was giving you my solid 60 to 70% attention.
So I went on a big dissertation.
Yeah, he started talking about why
you
we should all buy boats.
About boats.
He was like, I should buy a boat.
Because I want to buy a boat.
Does anyone remember that meme? That meme is like, God, that's like 2012, 2013 memeage right there. Do you remember that meme with the cat?
Yes. There's a boat brand named Supra. Just saying.
I mean, I can put whatever name I want on a boat. Isn't that how boats work? You name them what you want them to?
No, there's a brand of wake boats called Supras. They look sweet.
Do they look like Supras? Do they have twin 2JZs making 1,000 horsepower each?
Send you a picture.
You get on the throttle and it goes.
They look pretty damn sick.
Adjust this camera. I just realized it's like way slanted. There we go. That's a lot better. Now it's not at a weird angle.
It's in the Slack or in the Discord. That's what it is.
It's in the Slack. Don't make me look in the Discord. Send it in the Slack. The Discord is what we're recording from. You're making my life hard.
This guy makes my life so complicated.
Oh my God, dude, my hair is so fracked up.
So before we get too off topic, so my dissertation on boats that y'all missed, that you caught the tail end of, was.
Oh look, it's a boat.
I think that wake boats, like this Supra boat that I just said to Juan, are a bubble right now. And to me, they're in a lifestyle category of boating. Much like a Tacoma or 4Runner TRD Pro, a Wrangler Rubicon, a Grand Cherokee Trailhawk, and I'm even going to roast myself here for a second, a Colorado ZR2, F-150 Raptor, etc., etc. Right now, the big in thing for trucks and SUVs is how good is it off-road. Right now, in my opinion, as far as boats go, is it a funky, cool-looking Batmobile-style wake boat? And how much tech does it pack in? Like, these wake boats, some of these wake boats have like 3 different touch screens for all their freaking options. One of them I looked at had a freaking go-home mode, quote-unquote. You hit a button, it dumped the ballast tanks, set the cruise control like 30 miles an hour to like cruise you back to your marina or your dock, whatever. It's insane.
So that's what the world of GPS lets us do.
To me, the Venn diagram of people buying Raptors and ZR2s and Rubicons, etc., is a perfect circle with the people buying these fancy wake boats.
Did you see that post that one of our, somebody made a post about how some dude's, boat was sinking? It was like a $300,000 boat. And he tried to recover it using his Rubicon. And then he used his F-150 to try to save the boat.
Some guy's wake boat was sinking. So, put tie-in here. He used his Wrangler Rubicon and F-150 Raptor to try and save his sinking boat.
No, it wasn't a Raptor. It was a regular F-150.
Sorry, regular F-150.
He wasn't bougie enough to have the Raptor.
It was probably a Platinum. Because in the background of one of the pictures, there was a helicopter and a garage that had at least a Lamborghini in it, and I couldn't tell what the SUV was, but that son of a bitch had money. Why not just use the helicopter at that point?
Hey, that'd be dumb.
Lift it out.
Helicopters don't float well.
It's a perfect lift vehicle. That's all it does. It's a lift vehicle. So, like I said, back to my quick dissertation. I won't bore you forever on boats because this is a car podcast, allegedly. I think wake boats are just the in thing, like off-road vehicles are now. I'm not like off-road vehicles. I'm not saying everyone that buys a wakeboard boat or a wake boat isn't using it for its intended purpose. But what I am saying is a lot of wake boats are like mall crawlers, and I'm not even saying just because you don't see the wakeboard boat with someone boarding behind it once means that it never gets used. Just like I'm not going to say that every clean ass Wrangler Rubicon that I see at the store never goes off road. But I'm just saying, I personally think that there's a large overlap between people that buy an off road truck or SUV and keep it on paved roads, and people that buy a wakeboard boat and just use it to cruise around the river or lake.
Well, all I know
and they'd be better served with a normal truck, or in the case of boating, like a deck boat or a pontoon, or just a regular bow rider.
All of our wakeboard listeners, all of our wakeboat listeners, all of our lifted Wrangler owners. You just triggered all of them all at once.
Look, I've got one thing to wrap this up, because this is my hope. Personally, as the owner of an off-road vehicle,
to buy a boat. He wants you to buy a boat and an off-road car.
I also really want a wakeboard boat. I want a wake boat because I want a wakeboard very badly.
This bougie mofo is like, I got that dual income, no kids. I'm gonna buy me a wake boat.
Well, like I said, as I just bitched about all the overlap, the circle that is the Venn diagram of off-road truck and SUV owners and wake boat owners, I now want to buy one because, in my defense, I just want to I love snowboarding, but I live in a warmer climate, so I can't really go snowboarding that easily.
Sure you can. You just put wheels on it and call it a skateboard.
It's a long drive.
And for
me to go somewhere with snow. So, my thought is, if I get a wake boat, it's like snowboarding, but on water.
It's thawed snowboarding.
Exactly. So it's big brain time right here, okay?
That is a serious big brain move right there.
I feel
small brained right now.
I just want the wakeboard. I just want the wake boat bubble to crash, so I can buy them on the cheap. That's my goal.
See, I will say though, we're thinking cheap is gonna be subjective here, because how much do some of the hot boy versions of these wake boats cost? Like $150,000. Well, here's a 2015
Supra boat for $82,000.
For 82, is that brand new? $82,000?
2015.
Oh, not brand new. Yeah, 2015. So, yeah. How much are we looking at brand new, friend? Because do these depreciate like mofos, or do they hold value? Because I feel like they might be depreciating assets, friend.
They're definitely just depreciating. So out of these Supra ones, let's see. Let's do the prices by the highest. A 2019 is $150,000.
Yeah, I was on the money. You can buy two Supras for that much money.
Too much money for.
You can buy two real Supras.
For me, that's insane. Wake boats go well over $100,000, easy peasy, no problem, no questions.
And all to go 60 miles per hour on the water.
You probably squeeze them up to 70.
All I know is that the Lambo boat does 70, so I have a feeling that the Supra probably doesn't do 70.
Let me go to their website and we'll see. I doubt they give top speed because the wake boat isn't built for top speed. If you ever watch a wake boat in action, it's insane how slow they can be going and still develop such a massive wake. It's ridiculous.
I think you should cancel your wakeboard plans and buy what are they called? The top fuel dragster boats, the hydrofoil. What are those called?
I don't even know. This is the dash of a super boat. I just put it in our Slack. If you want to check that dash out,
it's literally got a smartphone clipped into it.
Well, that's your personal smartphone. That's its charging
Nope,
point. There's a
I've
wireless
officially
There's
now
a wireless
determined.
charging pad right
I've
there for your
officially
phone.
determined that that is the boat's ECU. You have to provide your own smartphone, boys and girls.
Yeah, the smartphones are like it's just its holder. You charge your phone right there.
I can't fit my Galaxy Fold in that. Why would I even buy this? This boat is broken.
But you can see over on the screen on the right, it has the pitch and yaw set like display, and then if you look down underneath that, it shows you where all the ballast tanks are on the boat. So you can change the ballast to get the best wake.
By the way, it is in fact just called drag boats. There's no fancy name.
So if you ever watch a wake boat on the actual on the water, it's insane. Like they can be going so slow and create such a large wake, and the wakeboarder can stay behind them without even needing a rope to be attached to the boat. Like he can just stay in the wake while going so slow and be in total control.
By the way, that has always terrified me. Like, I 100% understand that ideally you have somebody driving the boat, they can come back and get you, but I'm just like, what if I get sucked under? What if I fall? What if I drown?
So you wear a life jacket.
My body.
So the cheapest?
The life jacket does not go with my complexion. I can't do. I'm gonna look like a weenie. Why would I wear? I'm this millionaire playboy on my $150,000 boat. You think I'm gonna look like a loser? I gotta show off those chiseled abs that I bought.
So, real quick, you asked the MSRP was. So, according to the Supra Boats website, their cheapest boat starts out at $120,000.
Nice. I say take all that money and buy one of these bad boys. You guys can't see what I'm linking.
They have 4 models. Okay.
Nope.
So drag the boat. Second model is $137,000.
Drag boat, 8,000 horsepower, 260 miles per hour on water. That's what I need. This is my leisure craft. So
real quick, the super boats $120,000, $137,000, $138,000, and $148,000. Them's expensive.
Yep.
Your boy ain't paying for
rich
that.
People.
You in a drag boat just sounds like death. Have you ever seen a drag boat crash?
Absolutely. It is mortifying. I cannot think of a more terrifying way to die.
Because I'm not sure as if all y'all know.
It's a watery coffin. Like when they crash, they tear apart. And they're designed so you're like safe.
I don't know if those of you listening have ever watched Mythbusters. But water, when you're at speed or at a height, water becomes like concrete.
Dude,
like the surface tension is so high that if you hit water with a great amount of force, it's like hitting concrete. It's not like soft water. You know, it's not like just doing a cannonball off the side of a pool.
Straight up, the way these boats work,
it can kill.
Like no joke, the way they work is that they have basically like the center section that you're in, because like literally just look up drag boats and it's a weird look. If any of you guys ever played Hydro Thunder, like you know what the boat looks like. It's an old arcade game. But basically like that center capsule is like the strongest part of the boat, so it's basically kind of like your escape pod. And for all intents and purposes, when you crash, I say when you crash, you are in this little pod. Slowly sink into the bottom. Now, to be fair, they do these in shallow waters. Like you're not 100 feet deep. Like you're not like waist high deep either. But it's like recovery and finding you is not.
It's not
difficult.
Deep ocean.
Yeah, but that being said, you're in this little coffin, and basically your saving grace is you got a little air tank. So when it tears apart and your thing starts leaking, you've got air, and you just sit there and you breathe and you wait until somebody pulls you back up to the surface and gets you out. Or in some cases, I think you can get out. I think you are supposed to be able to escape. But again, for all intents and purposes, if you got knocked the fuck out, then you're basically dead until somebody undeads you.
Yep.
Versus, yeah. So, because again, it's like you crash just about as hard as you crash in like a regular drag. So the only downside difference is like it's only a wall for the first few seconds that you hit it. and then it goes, wah, and then you sink. So, anywho, by the way, in case anybody was wondering, like we said, this is a car podcast. Our credentials are
speaking of
vehicles
you can tow your boat with.
We have
the brand new F-150.
God damn it! I haven't even gotten to the starting part yet. Anywho, Juan Johnson, Brian Evans, amateur race car driver / wannabe race car driver, because I'm getting there.
We'll wait for that.
And you're a cop guy, and you do stuff, and you write articles and things. Those
I do
are our
virtual racing nowadays, and a lot of off-roading.
Yeah, he's a virtual race car driver now. He's actually faster than me in iRacing.
Virtual race car driver, real off-roader.
Yeah. But
I went from driving my Camaro and playing like Mud Runner spin tires, the virtual off-roading game, to driving my off-road truck off-road and playing iRacing. A little switcheroo there.
But yeah, anyway, this is usually a podcast about everything car news. Today it has apparently been a podcast about everything. No, we never cover boats. You covered boats. We cover boats when it's like Lamborghini made a boat? ?
Yeah, we didn't even talk about Lamborghini's boat.
No, we didn't talk about Lamborghini's boat because it's not a car. It's a boat. Albeit it's a very sexy boat. And what does it make? Like 1,600 horsepower or something?
That's all we have to say about that now.
What does the Lamborghini's boat make? Did you see what the horsepower was on it? It's something.
I didn't. I just
something that sounds silly in car world, but in boat world, it's like enough to make you go 70. Because water is a cool mistress.
The Tesnomar for Lamborghini 63 boat.
That's a terrible name. They should take
Look
that
it
back.
Up. It's a video. You'll find it.
So anywho, we are gonna talk about car stuff now, and that's what our
Speaking
podcast is
of cars to tow your boat with.
Yeah.
2021 F-150.
Yeah. So
I'll let you start out with that before I start out my bitching session.
Oh yeah, he wants to bitch about the F1. So first and foremost, as somebody who, by the way, Brian, I know this is gonna trigger you and Cody, hellas, but I'm officially back on Team Raptor again. I now want to get a Raptor as my tow vehicle because I keep coming back to it, even though I know it's not the best tow vehicle. And next time that I have like money woes, I'll go, oh, I should get a beater truck. But for now, I'm back on Team Raptor because Raptors are freaking dope.
So you want a vehicle that's not great for towing to tow all the time?
It tows 7,500 pounds. My car weighs 2,800 pounds. I'm fine.
Yes, but
actually, by the way, fun fact that you have to deal with because I'm gonna be getting an open trailer. When the S2000 gets a wing, technically the payload will be heavier because of drag on the wing. But not by much. It'll be a few hundred pounds. But yeah.
Let's do some math here, okay?
Did you say do some math? Yeah.
Yes.
Trailer, 1,800 pounds. I found a trailer that's 1,800 pounds.
Okay, hold on.
Car, 2,800 pounds.
So, you want the super crew,
3,200 pounds.
You want the crew cab or the extended cab?
I am hella getting that crew cab because I gotta bring my crew with me.
Okay.
Whenever my crew can leave Canada and not be in Vegas and,
Super crew.
It's 7,500.
Raptor. Hold on.
7,500. 7,500. 7,500.
I know what the towing capacity is. This is not about the towing capacity.
7,500. That's the towing capacity.
This is gonna get better. Horses. So, this is gonna be some fun math for all of you that aren't in the nose on towing capacity. God damn it, Ford. Make your freaking numbers easier to find.
And by the way, I'd be buying like a 2013 because I can't afford it.
Well, we're doing our math based off the 2020.
Because I can afford that. I can hella afford a $76,000 truck right now. Thanks, dealership markups.
You can get them for cheap. I look. Don't worry.
Bougie! You are bougie today, friend.
Like, look, these bitches that weren't selling for a while, so they trying to get rid of them.
Rid of them? They put them for 76 grand. Of course they're not gonna move.
Bro, let me.
It's supposed to have an MSRP.
I'm trying to do like 10 things right
grand.
now. The least you could do is let me freaking do one thing at once, okay? I'm trying to look up gross vehicle ratings for the actual correct towing capacity. Okay, right
pounds.
now I'm going to look at 2019 F-150s that are still new.
Okay, Raptor can tow 7,500 pounds.
Okay, wait till I explain the freaking math on towing capacities to you.
I mean, why would I care about the towing capacity of a regular F-150 when I could have a Raptor?
I swear to goodness, I swear.
Raptor is love. Raptor is life.
Why are you not searching? You
Especially because first gen Raptors, not the very first gen with the shitty chassis, but your 2012 and then on Raptors.
When they reinforced the chassis so it wouldn't bend if you went over a bump too hard.
Yep. Those are in like the 30 grand range now, so they're getting pretty foldable. Okay. And I've also finally ditched my standards of needing it to be under 100,000 miles. Like, I'm okay with 100,000 miles on it. Because I'm not going to be putting a crap ton of miles on it in the first place. And both of my cars I bought at 100. Well, the WRX was at 90,000, but.
Okay, so we'll take the new one. Okay, because that's the numbers I'm finding on the website. The Super Crew Raptor is 8,000 pounds towing capacity.
Hey, look, it went up by 500 on the new gen. Sweet.
Okay, why is it not telling me payload?
You're a payload.
Oh.
Isn't the payload just like... It's
so
like
the payload...
1.5.
So the max payload on it is 1,200 pounds.
Okay, 1.2 tons.
So...
Wait, not tons.
It doesn't tell me gross vehicle weight rating, which is also important. So... But here's the thing. Okay. Oh, here it's...
I'm not hauling a Clydesdale.
The gross vehicle weight rating is 7,000 pounds. So, okay.
Yeah.
70,050 pounds is the gross vehicle weight rating. The payload is 1,250. So let me scroll back up to the curve weight real quick.
I'm not putting a Clydesdale on the back of my pickup.
What's that?
I'm not putting a Clydesdale in the back of my pickup while I tow my car.
I understand. The curb weight on the Raptor
is like 5,600 pounds, I think.
On the, it's 5,700 pounds.
Oh, I was off just by a little bit.
So 5,700 plus 1,200 gives you right about $7,000. So that's your gross vehicle weight rating. So your vehicle total cannot weigh over your vehicle. The weight on just your vehicle
7,000 something pounds.
Can't weigh over 7,000 pounds. Your gross combined vehicle weight rating for a Raptor looks like it is 12,000 pounds. Your max towing is 8,000. So, all these numbers are important, and I'm getting to it. I know it sounds crazy.
Nope. Numbers don't mean anything, people. He's lying to you.
So, let's take a trailer, okay? Let's look at, let's say you wanted to get a camper, one.
Let's say you get a camper.
Let's say your camper weighs...
My non-existent camper? You mean my race car?
Your hypothetical race car hauler trailer that has a
no, I don't want to get one of those. Those are like $20,000. I'm not gonna put an entire race car worth in my race car hauler.
Hypothetically,
it's not hypothetical. This is not happening.
So let's say that your trailer and car weigh $8,000, 8,000 pounds.
But they don't.
Will you let me just use the round numbers for the math,
no,
please?
You're making up numbers that I'm not gonna use.
This isn't for you. This is for the people to understand
for anybody.
This is to understand how towing ratings work.
You're just trying
to
prove
let's say you have a trailer
it.
that weighs 8,000 pounds. That maxes out the tow rating of your F-150 Raptor. That's a 2020.
Wait, so I can tow 8,000 pounds with my Raptor is what you're saying.
In a 2020, you can tow up to 8,000 pounds. But here's the kicker. You need to figure in 10% of your trailer weight as tongue weight. So 800 pounds of that would be tongue weight. Your tongue weight counts against your payload.
Yeah.
So in the Raptor, your payload is 1,200 pounds.
Yep.
So for example, in the 2020 Raptor, if you're towing an 8,000 pound trailer, you've got 800 pounds on the tongue, that goes against your payload. So now you're down to 400 pounds of payload.
Yeah. Tires don't weigh a lot.
So, not just tires, people count against payload. You as the driver of the vehicle count against payload.
Are you calling me fat?
So
I'm not fit, but
let's say after you're in the truck, you have 200 pounds of payload left.
All right, cool. That's the tires and all my equipment. Boom.
So you have no friends in the truck.
And this is on this hypothetical trailer that literally weighs 2 times the weight of my actual real pay. Actually, less than 2.
I'm not. Like I said, I'm not trying to shoot you down from getting a Raptor. I'm just trying to explain towing capacity to people. Even though you can tow
an 8,000-pound trailer,
this large amount with your truck or your SUV, you can't just look at the towing capacity. You have to look at the payload capacity, and then the gross combined vehicle weight rating to really see.
Yes, there's a lot of black magic numbers. Anywho, get a Raptor to tow your race cars, everybody.
Sorry for
not your race trailers, but your race cars.
On towing. But Juan is in fantasy world and did not want to hear about it.
No, I am in the real world where I own a badass truck and I use it to haul a badass race car to do badass race stuff. And you are just jealous because you went and bought a super sports truck instead of a real truck.
It is a sport truck. It's a good sport truck.
Yeah, you didn't buy a real man's truck. You bought a little boy's truck.
Sport truck. It's got suspension from... It shares its suspension with F1 cars, the Ford GT, the Aston Martin 177, the Aston Martin Vulcan.
So, anywho, speaking about real trucks, though, the new one has officially been announced. A lot of people, a lot of people have been like, oh, it doesn't seem like a big change from the old one. And I will admit, it's not like otherworldly looks like, but apparently over 70% of the truck is new. So, new fenders, new bumper, new this, new that. Like, it is a new truck, even though it still is really similar looking. And obviously, most of you guys have probably heard a lot of the finer details, so we're going to talk about those finer details. So basically...
Real quick.
What?
Real quick.
Better not
Going back to Raptors real quick.
No. Well, I mean, I love talking about
Raptors, so all the Raptors, I'm not saying they're cheap, but all the Raptors, most of them, when you look at MSRP on them, most of the Raptors that dealers are ordering are obviously kind of like more loaded because they're only getting so many allocations, or at least they were initially. Mm-hmm. But all the Raptors I'm looking at a local dealer, the most you can get off one right now is $7,600. The least is like $6,000. So their MSRP is $73,000, very high. Not saying it's not, but the price before you even start negotiating is already down at $65,000. That's not that bad.
Better, but not quite. Still,
I'm just saying. You said they were $75,000. Clearly, they're not. There's only 3 at my local dealer. I haven't even looked like nationwide.
Anyway, I don't need to think about...
If you'd like me to show you that you're wrong more, I can do that too.
I'm sorry, I don't have your bougie dual income, no kids thing yet. Right now, I have that breadwinner income with like a 30% debt to income ratio. You have the IT
income. You have the rich... I'm an IT guy. I make all the money.
Oh, yeah, I make tons of money.
You do that nebulous, IT thing.
Did you say nebulous
no one really knows what you do, but somehow, they think you do something, so they pay you lots of money to do whatever it is you claim to do.
Oh, yeah. They pay me all the big bucks to click all the big buttons, and I break things on occasion.
You just break things to try and make yourself have a job.
Oh, absolutely. My job is to break things and fix them so that people have purpose in life. So,
all right, guys, you heard it here first.
Anywho, the new F-150 has a ton of kind of neat features. So obviously we're going to be getting the hybrid version of it, which is not a plug-in hybrid. It's just a standard, like old school Prius-y plug-in. But it's got, an onboard generator to charge the batteries. That generator is hilariously decent in that you can run, I think it's 7.5 kilowatt hours of power. That's what the generator does.
How much do you hate me right now? Juan?
I don't know. How much am I
New-
going to hate you?
New base Raptor, $50,000,
Wait,
2020.
wait, no way. No frickin' way. No heckin' way. Because that is MSRP right there. That is...
It's less. MSRP is 55.
Is it 55 now? Huh. What?
I mean, I don't know what other catches are. I'm sure there's some on that one.
Let's see. Spray and bed liner, backup camera,
I mean, you're getting the base interior, and it's a super cab, not a super crew, which breaks it down a little bit because no one wants a super cab. No one wants the extended cab. Though I think the extended cab on the Raptors actually looks pretty good. We'll say that. It's cloth seats. They're pretty basic seats. But if you just want to get into a Raptor, $50,000 is pretty damn killer.
That would be so killer. God, this is awesome. Well, sadly, I don't have that money. I need to work on that.
Super Crew is the way to go if you're getting a Raptor, in my opinion.
I would still need to get. I do need to get a Crew because.
The cheapest Super Crew at the same dealership is $53,717.
That's not terrible at all. Then that's still. I mean, three.
There's a Super Crew in Tennessee for $55,000. $5,000 in West Virginia, Missouri, Sullivan, Missouri. If you know what that is, $56,000.
So anywho, on the new F-150 though, they're doing a whole big old thing about how it can, but it can power a work set. It can power a couple of like high-powered tools, but like it's kind of neat.
One of the cool things that I saw though on the hybrid, I will say that stands out versus what other trucks are doing. First of all, it has a lot higher power rating than your standard inverter because what it seems like from what info we have. Instead of just having a standard inverter, the F-150 has a generator.
Yeah.
I mean, an inverter is a generator.
Did you tune me out the whole time when I was talking about all this?
I'm getting to it. An inverter is just like a generator. It's just a different word for it. So...
Wait, what? No, an inverter converts voltages. A generator is an actual device that outputs electricity.
An inverter outputs electricity as well. Or an alternator, sorry. Alternator.
Ah, yes. There you go. That's the word you were looking for there, buddy.
Alternator.
Like, especially like when you look at old muscle muscle cars, they had generators rather than alternators back in the day.
So it's not like when you see generator on it, it's not like a separate generator that's bolted somewhere in the truck. It
is kind of bolted somewhere in the truck, and that somewhere is the engine.
It is. I'm just saying it's not like a different second engine that's bolted on the truck. It converts
liquid dinosaur into electricity for outside the car.
But it uses the engine for that. It's not like a motorhome or like an extra power unit on the truck.
You have a 2.7 liter or 3-point-something liter V6 generator that also happens to be connected to a drivetrain and a vehicle.
So there is one thing that's unique compared to like other trucks. Your 120 volt outlets are a lot. They're rated at higher wattage because of the generators, and then there also is the special 4-prong plug.
Yeah, for isn't that a 240 volt connector? That's
so.
Yeah, that's I literally just
you could charge a Tesla with that. You can run higher output tools and fans and like that off of that. And it gets you a lot more juice. That's something that the other trucks don't have right now.
And likewise they said
I won't bitch about that on the F-150. I do have other complaints about the F-150.
Yeah, he hates. So Brian told me before this podcast, he said, I hate added functionality. I want my vehicles to be as inconvenient and as useless as possible. If it does more than start and drive, I hate it. He said these things word for word to me.
Video that Ford shared with it. That is the most little, like, millennial Gen X hipster shit ever.
Hey,
Um,
hey, hey. Shut up.
so the new F-150 tailgate has several features on it. As
It
all the new
has
tailgates are coming out,
C-clamp
everyone has to have
mounts.
features
It has a
for
tape
tailgate. Tailgate can't
measure.
be a tailgate anymore. So
It can
here's what I like
100%
and
be a
don't like
tailgate.
about the F-150's tailgate features. What I do like, what I think is actually useful, is there are hooks on it for like tie down straps.
Love it.
Very useful. Great feature. There are insets on the top of the tailgate to put part of a C clamp.
Love it.
Useful, but not 100% necessary. Because to me on a job site, I don't see many people using their pickup truck as a sawhorse.
Hey, like I said, the actual people, the construction people, less so. But for all of those weekend warriors who bought an F-150 for the 2 times they go to Home Depot a year to buy lumber for a planter box,
they're using it just so
they're going to love it. Because they don't own it. They realize they don't own a tape measure. They went on Etsy and they found, not Etsy,
there's also a tape measure built into the bed. I didn't mention that yet.
Yeah, the tape measure that's built into the bed. You can use it as a sawhorse, so you don't have to worry about buying sawhorses. Because let's face it, if you don't work in construction, who has a sawhorse? Brian, do you have sawhorses?
There's also a freaking tablet built into it.
There's not a tablet built into it. It's a tablet holder. So
and a pencil holder. And
tablet.
A cup.
So you can follow along on your instructable instructions to build that shelf that your wife asked you to make, even though you don't know how to use a saw.
There's pencil holders and a coffee mug holder
pencil
and tablet
holders,
holder.
coffee, you gotta have those
it's
things.
It's just too much.
It is exactly enough. If anything, I wanted to have a flat screen TV mount. I wanted to have like a Baba tea dispenser. I needed to have
out of all this novelty that gets packed into trucks and cars and SUVs, like think of some fancy luxury feature that's in a Mercedes S-Class. Like
air freshener.
Oh, I know one. They have the freaking air perfumer. Like they have the built-in.
Gee, thanks for ignoring my statement and taking it as your own.
Sorry. Oh, I missed it. I thought you said you didn't know.
I literally said the word air freshener.
Oh, there you go. Sorry, I'm on a rant. I'm on a roll. So that air freshener, once it runs out of juice, how many people do you think are actually going to switch that out? Exactly. Not many. Put your hand down. So, not many are going to switch that out. And that's just like the number of people that will use the features of this tailgate. That's all I'm saying. This tailgate is made to look cool in an advertisement, and it's made to sell trucks, but it's not something that's going to get used.
Just saying, when I win my random 2021 F-150 Raptor giveaway, I'm going to use
There's no 2021 F-150 Raptor.
There will be. There will be.
No.
They have confirmed that it is on the way. They just aren't ready to announce it yet, and I cannot wait. Because honestly, I will say
I'm gonna laugh when there's not a 2021 Raptor and it comes out as a 2022.
Who knows? Well, honestly, they did say it is for sure in the works.
It is planned to make a return for the 2021 model year. There just isn't information about it right now.
I am kind of curious to see what it ends up looking like, though, because the last gen just looked so muscly and bulgy because a lot of it was because of that front boxy fascia and the way it kind of like fit around it.
The front fenders are what sell the Raptor for me.
They are, dude. That is, it's the reason why when people say, "Oh, just buy an F-150 and put fender flares on it at the lift kit, you'll have a Raptor right there." No, it's like I love the way it looks.
The fenders themselves make the damn truck,
and they look. I saw even better in real life. I saw one home today.
I saw a Roush F-150 from the same generation as like the first Gen Raptors, and it had the fender flares. It had a Roush sticker on the bed that was like the same style as the Raptor, and like it had Raptor style fender flares. But once I saw like the front fenders and the front end, it wasn't a Raptor. it was like a kid wearing his dad's shirt or something like that. You know what I mean? Like it was. It skipped. It just was missing something. Like
Dude,
it didn't
it just
feel.
gives the truck
It
so
wasn't.
much
It wasn't real.
presence. Like, I mean, this is no joke, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of people think that so you know how the Raptor has the three little dots in the grill. A lot of people think that it's because it's really tall. It actually has nothing to do with how tall it is. It's actually because of how wide it is.
That's where they put the clearance lights.
Yeah, the clearance lights are 100% based on how wide a vehicle is, not the height.
So they didn't want to put the clearance lights in the roof with the F-150 because it just manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have it set up on the F-150 line.
Yeah, it's expensive to put holes
drill
in a
holes
roof.
in the body.
Yeah.
And that would be a difficult spot to drill holes in because they have to change up the whole presses and everything else. Adding those lights to the grill is super easy because that's just a clip-in part later.
Yep.
And you're not messing with the metal of the truck.
So
because the cab of the Raptor is the same as a cab of any other F-150.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like F-250s, Silverado 2500s, Ram 2500s, etc. and up, due to the overall width, I think it's over 80.7 or like 82.7 inches.
Something.
You are required to have clearance lights to show oncoming traffic that a wide vehicle is coming.
Yep.
So that's why the Raptor has them.
Well, and that's why the presence is such a statement, though, is the Raptor is literally wide enough to be classified as a different type of vehicle. Well, or to be treated as a different kind of vehicle on the road.
And you also have the clearance lights on the fenders, which are just dope. Yeah, I hate most of the F-150 lineup. I hate most of what Ford does just because I hate Ford sometimes. Not really. I joke. I jest.
We still know for a fact Brian works for Chevy. He's worked for Chevy all this time. His whole story is a lie, and he is just an advanced marketing technique.
I like the Raptor. It's a good truck.
It's exactly what a Chevy guy would say.
I could trim out an F-150 to my liking, but as a whole, I find a lot of F-150s ugly. The Ranger, the Ranger right now is ugly and useless.
Oh yeah, I don't like the Ranger at all.
New Mach 1 is dope as hell, and I'm glad Ford finally decided to come out with something that can compete with the 1LE. Good job, GG. 4 years later.
Actually, I'm gonna jump ahead. By the way, you brought up the Raptor, not the Raptor, the Ranger. Ford. So as a kind of apology for lying to us about the Ranger Raptor and taking it and just giving it to everyone else but us. The Ranger is actually going to be getting a series of performance package upgrades. So
getting some dealer packages.
Yeah, basically. So it's got 3 tiers. They're dealer installed options. And one of that, like the first package is basically just like a sticker package, and like I think it's like different wheels and something else.
It's not a complete sticker package. The first one is $2,500 before installation. You get a front leveling kit.
That's right.
You get different wheels. You get some stickers, and you get a set of Fox performance shocks.
Oh, that's right. You do get the upgraded suspension from the get-go. So
I mean, it really isn't that bad.
No, it's not a bad deal at all.
They're tuned by Ford Performance. So they're specifically set up and tuned for the Ford Ranger.
Yep.
So then level 2 is where you probably really want to go if you really are serious about off-roading. Level 2 gets you everything from level 1, plus some more. You get BF Goodwrench KO2 tires. You get some blue tow hooks on your front bumper. You get an off-road accent lighting kit. A Ford Performance engine calibration is available separately. Oh, well, it's normally available separately, sorry, is included in the level 2, which gives you a nice little bump up to from 270 horsepower to 315 horsepower, and from 310 foot-pounds of torque to 370 foot-pounds of torque. So that's a nice little performance upgrade. So on top of, like I said, on top of everything, you get level 1, which is upgraded shocks and whatnot. You get upgraded tires, you get a engine performance upgrade, some extra lights, and that'll only set you back $4,500 before installation.
Yeah. So honestly, it's a really solid kind of slash, it's an option to get a lot closer to what the Ranger Raptor was supposed to be. And even to some extent, it may even be what the Ranger Raptor was supposed to be in the first place. Because
you still get an up and front diff, and I can't remember if the rear diff is manually lockable or not.
I don't remember.
Get you close, as close as you're going to get to a ZR2.
Yeah. Without them having to treat it as its own model and trim and do all the crash testing.
Yeah, like with them being dealer options, they don't have to do any EPA gas mileage testing or whatever. They just get to sell it, and that's that.
Yeah. So either way, it's kind of if you you really like the Ranger and you were really hoping for that Ranger life, but in Raptor form.
Like 10, there's like dozens of you that love the new Ranger.
Well, I was still, dude. The Ranger Raptor as pictured looked mean because it had the Raptor grill, it had the wider fenders. Like that Ranger Raptor looked sick, and we didn't get it obviously. So now it looked kind of Weenie Hut Junior, but whatever.
It feels like none of these performance packs that Ford offers for off road, none of them get the any actual fender flares.
Yep, they don't get the fender flares. They don't get the grill, so it just looks kind of slightly less lame.
Like, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not saying the ZR2 is the end-all be-all of trucks right now, obviously.
Yeah, because it's the Raptor.
You have the Tacoma, mid-size trucks. You have the Tacoma, which comes in TRD Pro and TRD Off-Road form. To me, both of those top even the FX4 package from the Ranger. And then you have the Gladiator Rubicon, and then its lower trims that pack a good off-road punch. Then you have the Colorado ZR2. Like, to me, the only mid-sized truck that I consider the Ranger beating is the Frontier, which really isn't saying much. I guess if you consider the Ridgeline a mid-sized truck, I would put it over that too. But you have the Gladiator, the Tacoma, and the Colorado / Canyon that, to me, easily beat the Ranger.
Yeah, I would agree.
And then, no offense, the Gladiator is actually very good as a truck. To me, the Tacoma, Gladiator, and Colorado / Canyon all sit atop of the mid-sized truck heap together. Because to me, they each kind of do things a little differently. So you pick what fits what you need.
Yeah.
If you want something that you can take the top off and the doors off, get the Gladiator.
Or do some real crawling too, because obviously the Gladiator and Rubicon trim is a beast for that. Whereas if you want a cheap Baja runner, this new Ranger with the packages may not be the coolest looking thing, but it's in theory tuned similar to how the Raptor would be. It's just lower.
Well, you have the Tacoma that you get the Tacoma if you just want dead set reliability. And then you have the ZR2 there, kind of in the middle of the two, where, it's just, each one excels at something on its own, stands apart from the others, whereas to me, the Ranger does nothing itself to stand out.
Yeah.
None of these performance packages, to me, elevated above what you can get factory-wise from Toyota, Jeep, or Chevy or GMC.
Yeah, I would agree on that. Yeah, Ford as a whole kind of did the Ranger a little dirty here in the United States.
So apparently, from what I've read, the reason they
The reason
brought
they
the Ranger to
did
the
it dirty.
U.S. is they wanted to fill up some production capacity while they were waiting for the new Bronco to come out, and
That's hurtful.
while they were waiting to spool up for the next Ranger. So the next gen Ranger should be coming out in
Ranger
the next couple
keeping the
years.
seat warm.
Pretty much, they just want to keep the
That's so
factory
mean.
rolling. So that's what I've heard about the Ranger. I can't confirm it, but it seems to line up because once the Raptor's out, we should be seeing a new Ranger come out in the next year or two, or maybe 3.
Yeah, well, I really do wonder what they're gonna, because now that they're not gonna make it part of the Raptor family, like the Ranger, I look forward to seeing what they actually do with it in the future because it's kind of funky. But in terms of funky things, the Ford Mustang Mach-E is pulling a big old BMW in that it's gonna come. Yeah, the Mache is gonna on the highest trim pull off 14 more horsepower than stated, in its actual announcement, which is hella dope. And another one of those things that it's like, whenever the major manufacturers, like so many major manufacturers are actually really good about like not lying about like
over promise, under deliver.
Yeah, exactly. Now that being said, with the gas cars, they're kind of a little about beep. They're kind of a little screwy about it, but with like BMW is notorious. BMW and Porsche, like always, their cars, whatever they say you get, horsepower wise, is what you get on the dyno.
It's
Other
the
companies,
horsepower you get on the moon,
Yeah, exactly. But still, it's just kind of neat that I'm glad that the Mach-E isn't a bunch of marketing flashes and bangs, especially because I think I don't actually I don't know, does the Model S and Model 3 etc stack up with what their claimed numbers are? I can't remember if they do or not.
So without getting into a huge Tesla debate, because you'll have people on both sides of the debate chirp in and start, oh my god, that's not true, or this isn't true. But as a whole, from all my research into Tesla, they seem to miss their EPA targets more often than not.
But I don't care about EPA. Screw EPA. I want them horsepower figures. Are they rat? Is my horsepower real?
Early on, Tesla had to face a lawsuit because they misrated or incorrectly rated the Model S horsepower ratings. So I don't know what their current ones are. I don't think they really even state them as much.
Yeah, they really don't make a big deal about it nowadays.
Because they got sued for it before.
Womp womp.
RIP.
So, yeah. So anyway, that was all I really had on the Mach-E. You want to talk about this next Ford thing? We got another Ford thing.
I'm tired of Ford. I hate Ford.
Yeah, but you love talking
Ford,
about Ford.
I'm sure it's kind of old news now. For the most part, is they have a new 7.3 liter pushrod V8 that's joining their Super Duty lineup. It's not the first, not the last. It's not the only one, but it's pretty much a diesel replacement engine. GM just came out with theirs as well around the same time. GM's is a 6.6 liter V8, which is also annoying because it's the same displacement as the Duramax, which is also a V8. And for Ford, it's just as annoying as well because if you look up Ford 7.3 liter V8, you get a bunch of shit about the old diesel V8. And it's almost like when I had my Camaro, looking up Camaro LT1, whatever part. Is it a fucking 1994 Camaro? Is it a fucking 2016 Camaro? Or if it's a 2018, whatever it is. Such a pain in the butt. Like, why do they do this? Because it makes it such a pain in the ass to look shit up. But like I said, GM has their 6.6 liter V8. Ford has their 7.3 liter V8. Dodge kind of has the 6.4 Hemi. It falls a little short compared to the other two, generally. But these engines are basically diesel for the heavy duty. But that's not why we're talking about them today. What we're talking
Yeah.
about them today is because Ford came out and released the 7.3 liter, they call it Godzilla V8, as a crate motor. So it's an
Yeah.
iron block 7.3 liter V8, and it can pretty much turn the world over with its torque.
Jeez, God, that is. I didn't know it was an
It's
iron block V8. That is freaking
Yeah, so you can
dense.
boost it to the world and back, and it comes for the low price of $8,150.
That's not too bad for a new motor, for all intents and
Not at all.
purposes. Not the cheapest
430
thing, but
horsepower, 475 pound-feet of torque. It got a 7,200 pound truck to 60 in 7.3 seconds.
not bad. Not bad.
That's pretty damn quick. So yeah, I mean it's a good engine. Iron block, aluminum heads, port injection. There's already people making aftermarket intakes and shit for it.
Of course.
So, one of the articles I read about the crate engine was talking about some breather mods, like an intake manifold and some exhaust stuff. I think was all they did to it in a tune, and they were like in the neighborhood of 600 horsepower. NA, like it's going to be ridiculous what people do with this motor.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I think a lot of the take for this is really going to be, obviously random one-off like industrial applications or like weird, very specific applications. But another thing is a lot of people are probably just going to use it to dump into old muscle cars because they're like
Box body swaps and
yeah.
I mean, hopefully, it'll take a while because right now, if you swap your Fox body, sure, you can do a 351 Windsor or a 351 Cleveland or like an old 460 or something. But if you're serious about performance and you're swapping your Fox body, you're getting an LS engine. Let's just be honest with ourselves. And I'm not even saying that as a Chevy fan. A lot of Ford people I've talked to, if they're serious about performance, they're going to the LS engine because the aftermarket's there. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not, for better or worse, it is what it is. Ford's made the small block LS for years and years and years. It's gone in a million things. You can pull a 5.3 liter.
Did you just say
V8.
Ford's made a small block LS?
Chevy's done the small block LS for years and years and years. And for better or worse, you can go to a junkyard anywhere in the country right now for less than $1,000. You can pull out a 5.3 liter V8, throw on a fucking eBay turbocharger, pardon my French, for $200 or whatever you find it for on eBay. It's junk. It doesn't matter. Turn the boost way up. Again, sorry, you have to bleep this out later. And you can get 1,000 horsepower to that engine for nothing. I think there's a great article. I'll have you link in the description. I think it was Hot Rod Magazine. Boosted what they thought was a 5.3 liter V8.
You're sending me that link, by the way. This is your fault. Now people are going to be looking for the link in the description.
Yeah, I'm sending you that link right now. But Hot Rod Magazine boosted what they thought was a 5.3 liter junkyard LS. And they ran shit out of this engine trying to blow it up. And they couldn't blow it up. They got it up to 1,200 horsepower, and the thing wouldn't die. They kept running it up. It was on race gas. They threw it at 14 psi, and they were running like on shorty headers, and they were just pretty much running this on a dyno, seeing what they could get out of it. So, they reached 26 psi on race gas. They passed 1,000 horsepowers on the stock internals, then 1,100 horsepower, and then their peak of the night was 1,203 horsepower at 26 psi.
Gross.
So after that, they kept going, and they had an ignition failure at one point. Well, when they pulled it off the dyno, they realized it wasn't a 5.3 liter V8; it was only a 4.8 liter V8, making 3 horsepower. They did over 60 pulls on big boost with a junkyard engine. So, long story short, that is what makes the just LS swap it crowd have so much credence. Is GM has overbuilt these engines. You can pick one from a freaking junkyard, slap boost through it, and make over 1,000 horsepower, and run it consistently. Like 60 pulls on that engine would run you a whole drag racing season, pretty much. They're just dead ass reliable. So back to the Ford crate engine. Long story short, the Ford crate engine to me is really cool. The fact that it's an iron block means very well that you could shove a shit ton of boost down this thing's throat and it can handle it. So I hope that Ford keeps this around as long as they can before they're forced to choke it out. But luckily, super duty and heavy duty trucks, the emissions requirements are a lot less. So it should be easier to keep it around, especially if they start using it in the van engines too. For the E-Series, if that sticks around, which I'm assuming it will, especially as a cab only chassis. If you're familiar with that, I mean, they sell you the van front end. You usually see it like attached to an ambulance or something like that, or a short bus or party bus, whatever.
The big boy commercial applications.
So yeah, commercial applications. Like, so hopefully, if this 7.3 V8 from Ford becomes commonplace, not only as just a crate engine, but as a junkyard engine, I see endless potential for it. Like, it's built on reputation. Like I said with my story with GM's V8s, you can go to a junkyard, you can pull what you think is a 5.3 liter V8, only ends up being a 4.8 liter V8. Still pump 1,200 horsepower out of it for 60 runs. Well, I don't think it was 1,200 horsepower the whole time, but ridiculous horsepower. I think once this engine gets that reputation, you'll have people clamoring for it, and it'll. But once they get some tuners using this engine, it'll take off. I mean, it has everything it needs to be ridiculous. Long story short.
Yep.
And I'm excited for it. As much as I get annoyed by some of Ford's dumber stuff that they do, this is pretty cool.
So, by the way, speaking of things that are pretty cool, except this is not cool, BMW has reportedly been considering the idea of doing over-the-air updates, and basically, so the general idea is they've been considering the idea of pushing cars out with options and features already installed, and then making them enableable or disableable over the air. So the idea is, like, you could be like, my heated seats are a subscription. If I don't pay $3 a month, I don't get
as annoying and stupid as it is, I'm not trying to wholly defend it.
It makes a ton of sense production line-wise, because it means you don't have to do any customization other than colors.
Well, take my old Camaro. It actually had heated and cooled seats in mind, even though they weren't hooked up.
Yeah.
Like the fan blower and everything was under there because it was cheaper for them to pay Recaro to make the seats all the same for the 1LE, the ZL1. It was easier to make the seats all the same because the only one that didn't have the fan shit enabled, as far as I know, was the 1SS 1LE, or possibly the 1SS if you option the Recaros in that. Might not have gotten it. Whereas the 2SS 1LE and the ZL1 got it. So they made one seat. There was no wiring harness to it. If there's a hack that people found that you could wire up the heated and cooled seats, you can kind of hack them in through an actual wiring harness if you didn't have them actually hooked up. So I get it. I get how it's actually cheaper to just streamline manufacturing.
It's just kind of one of those things that's embarrassing to think about. Like, somebody gets in your car and they're like, ooh, you have heated and cooled seats? And you're like, no, I don't pay the subscription fee for that.
I'm not defending it because I think it's ridiculous to own a car that you still have to pay for extra subscriptions on
Yeah.
OnStar notwithstanding, because that's kind of a little different.
Yeah, but like we got into a conversation about this earlier today, just within the Slack chat, where we were just sort of like, this is like that first step towards a future where it's like, oh, you don't want your car to blare ads at you, or like buy the car cheaper if you're okay with it randomly shouting ads at you every 15 minutes while you're driving.
When you pass a McDonald's, it pops up an ad.
Yeah.
But it's great. So real quick though, the one convenient thing about the subscription service for heated seats, you only have to pay for it like 3 or 4 months a year.
But then again, it's like it comes down to the price, because it's like,
it's silly.
If it's like $3 a month.
I don't need heated seats right now. It's fucking 90 degrees outside.
Because how much are you saving though long term? Because again, like the seat option is probably, I think the most expensive heated cooled seat I've seen is $1,200. So
it's never going to make financial sense for the owner or the buyer or the end user.
In terms of your payment, you're going to save like $5 a month. So
the house always wins. We know that. So it's never going to make financial sense for you to only own, quote unquote, your heated seats for 3 months out of the year. But that'd be pretty nice.
But the worst thing is it's going to make sense to some people, because like a lot of the impulsive buyers skimp out on stuff that they really have no reason to skimp out on because they hear that it saves them $10 a month. So this is like one of those things. It will work. 100% will work. And it's just sad to know that it's coming, because we know that it will work. But yeah, so that was just kind of a funky little thing. All right, we are finally talking about something Chevy related. Brian, are you ready for this?
Excited!
Take it away.
I've been waiting for this all night.
Take it away, buddy friend.
The military is always out looking for the next big thing, or a new vehicle, or new something. So lately, the military's thing has been finding things with off-the-shelf parts to make repairs easier in the field, parts availability easier, cheaper, etc. So they've been looking for like a squad vehicle for like special forces, kind of like a doom buggy, pretty much, a little souped up doom buggy, called the infantry squad vehicle. So it's a mix between a Jeep, doom buggy. It's a step down from any armored vehicle. So GM put forward their concept for it, and it got rid of everything it needed to save weight. There's no doors, there's no roof, it's like a plexiglass windshield, and it can fit 9 soldiers inside of it and their gear. What it is, underneath all that, is a ZR2, a Colorado ZR2. 90% of it is off-the-shelf parts from the ZR2. It has the 2.8-liter turbo, the 6-speed automatic transmission, and it can go anywhere. It's supposed to be fast, capable compared to like a standard MRAP or like even a Humvee, which those have mostly been phased out, or they're working on phasing them out.
Yeah.
It's air transportable. It can fit inside a Chinook. It can be slung underneath a Blackhawk, and it's super maneuverable. So, pretty much, from what I have read about it, from like, obviously the body panels are gone. It's the body panels are gone. They're just not there. But the chassis, like your frame, your suspension, the engine, like all that. I mean, it's like if you took the body off of a Colorado. Everything, all the guts are Colorado. The rear suspension, if you look at certain pictures from certain angles that show off the suspension, it looks dead on what's underneath my Colorado in the driveway.
Yep.
They added shock skids, which I did too, because the one complaint is GM left the shocks out in the middle of the axles. But yeah, I mean, underneath what's left is the Colorado ZR2 chassis. GM went out to it. They took the body off. They took the bed off.
The question is, does it still have the Formula One suspension?
Yes, it still has the DSSV suspension. up front and out back, and it has an exo cage. It has the diesel. It's got it all. It's all called out underneath, and the Army should be picking this up because it can take the off road hits like it's no one else's business. It can crawl a little bit. It can go anywhere. Plucky little thing, and the drivetrain can be fixed with off-the-shelf parts from any of your O'Reilly's Advanced Auto Parts AutoZone anywhere in the world.
Oh, they even got a little picture of it doing a jump on here. That's so cute.
They jumped the ZR2, I think, in the press launch photos as well.
Yeah, I think they did. But yeah, either way, though, it's a neat little thing. I really do. So, right now, God, this is the one thing that sucks is it's like all of our Army guys are out of the Army. Because I'm like hella out of touch with what their like current. So like I know the Humvee's on the way out. What replaced it?
So smaller MRAP style vehicles that are more. They have typically they have V hulls. So underneath, I think this might even look like it has it a little bit, and it's not really. So
like, because the MRAPs are your big old like true haul,
like dual axle.
The kind of thing that your department gets as a hand-me-down after it's done doing wartime stuff. Literally, I looked up MRAP, and like the fifth option for me is Douglas County Sheriff.
Yeah. So they have the big V hulls, and you can probably see it in that picture. And that deflects the blast away. Like if a mine goes off underneath that vehicle, it deflects the blast out. Whereas the Humvees, and this was the issue in Iraq and Afghanistan, the Humvee has a flat floor.
Mm-hmm.
So when the blast goes off underneath it, it just smacks right up into that flat floor. So if you look up like Humvee replacement, just a quick Google search, you'll find what they're using it.
Yeah, it's like this cute little thing.
It's called the JLTV. It looks like a little off-roader, but it's a lot more up-armored because we discovered that the Humvee was not very well suited for
being shot at.
Yeah. It was. I mean, the Humvee was a replacement for the Jeep, and at the time,
it's just something you don't want to get shot at. No,
it was never meant to be used in the war the way it was.
Yeah, it was. It's a device from wars we don't fight anymore.
Yes, war just changed a bunch.
Jesus Christ, this thing is massive.
Yeah, there's a picture of the JLTV. If you just go to like the Google image search.
Oh yeah,
I'm looking. You can find a picture of the JLTV next to like the Humvee. It's just kind of silly.
Like that thing makes the Humvee look like a biatch.
It makes the Humvee. It's compared to the Humvee, like the Jeep is compared to the Humvee. Like the Humvee is compared to the Jeep. Like it's
like that is insane.
Such an evolution.
That is just.
But most of the game isn't really in width; it's in height.
Yeah.
Because it's getting the soldiers further off the ground to give it more room for armor protection beneath it.
Yeah, this thing's cute though. I like it. Wonder how much it costs.
A lot of money. So, like we mentioned, obviously Google it if you're confused what we're talking about. Welcome to our wartime podcast. The JLTV is.
Oh my god! It can be outfitted with an artillery cannon.
Yeah, and missile.
Okay, it's actually this looks more like a. It's not artillery, but still, it's got this big A gun.
Rockets.
I have not found with rockets on it yet, though. But like the weapons, because the other thing too is all the weapons on these are automated, which kind of plays into the whole purpose of the vehicle, which is to protect the occupants. So instead of the standard little pop goes the weasel gun the good old Humvee had, you have an actually good little automated tank turret that's just like.
So you have at least a crow. Well, in the military, it's referred to as a crow system. They also come with standard turrets, but their standard turrets have a lot more armor everywhere. I'll throw you in the Slack a quick version of what their standard turret looks like without the crow system. the Crow system, I can't remember what it stands for, but the Crow system basically is video setup for a machine gun or Mark 19
Dude, that
grenade
thing looks
launcher.
so aerodynamic. I bet it gets it probably gets like 40 mpg.
Yes. So the Crow system basically is like, it's not automated, but it's a remote operating system for like a weapon that's mounted in a turret on top of a vehicle. So the soldier or marine or whatever can fire it from inside the vehicle while they're safe, protected by the armor, without having to be up in exposed turret. So yeah, this JLTV is what your bread and butter soldiers would probably traverse most of the time in.
Yeah.
Whereas the Colorado base,
That's your zippy doodah machine.
Their ISV infantry squad vehicle would be used as well, but it also would see a decent amount of use by like special forces, quick insertions, things like that. It wouldn't. They both serve different purposes, obviously. The Colorado ISV obviously has a little bit different or a little bit less protection, as you can tell.
Yeah, just a smidge less. Just a smidge.
Kind of doesn't have doors. But it's really cool that they're able to use that off-the-shelf technology to benefit the military and save some money. It's off the shelf.
Well, no, the technology part.
Excuse me? My truck's suspension is from an Aston Martin 177, Formula 1 race cars, Aston Martin Vulcan, Ford GT. Need I continue?
So, anywho, about this Bubba Wallace guy.
Got my race truck. Race truck.
By the way, we talked about that in decent detail during the last podcast. And the good news is, boys and girls, that it had actually been there for over a year. So, that being said, it's been there since last October. That being said, it's still just like, it is a noose. Like, I finally got to actually see a picture of it, and it's like,
100%.
That's a noose. But it has been there since 2019, and it's not like Bubba Wallace has his own private locker there. Like, it's random. So it could have been there for anyone at any point in time. So somebody who just has poor choices and not, like... I honestly just don't see how a noose is a not worth tying over just like a standard, the stupid knot. The knot we all know, it's what you start your shit, like...
I just... Like, is someone bored playing with a rope? I can't even imagine why you do it. I'm not trying to justify it by any means. I can't fathom why that would be there. That's the only reason I can come up with. Someone being bored. I don't know.
Yeah, all I know, and I will say, to be fair, I actually know how to tie a noose because I used them for Halloween decorations. Because I had to like hang a bunch of skeletons around my house, and we looked up how to make a noose. Because that being said, by the way, if you look up how to make a noose, you get a lot of suicide hotline tips first.
and for the record, I'd like just for everyone listening to know that Juan is black. This is not a hate crime happening here. Or Juan gets a pass or something like that. No hate crime has occurred on this podcast.
No, dude, I have given it is the worst when I'm gaming because like I slip up all the time where I will say like some like mildly racist stuff and people go off on me and then I'm like I can't convince them I'm black. Like, I'm not gonna freaking send them a picture and a bunch of other... It's just like...
I just sound blacker.
Well, I literally just end up having to block people. Yeah, well, because, like, I literally end up having to block people because they're just like, you're so racist. It's just like, no! I just don't take offense to these things, so I don't think about it when I say it. But yeah, so anywho, but long story short is that, you know, we said some nasty things about whoever put the noose there, and now we get to know that nobody was stupid or ignorant enough to do it.
He wasn't targeted or anything like that.
Yeah.
The garages in NASCAR are assigned based off of point position for the season. So I mean, it wasn't pre-planned in any way, shape, or form that he was getting that garage. It was total luck of the draw.
Yeah. So moving on to stuff. That now we're gonna go into just kind of some of the quickly bits, the speedy bits. We need to come up with a name. Like, I know we've said this like twice now. Come up with a name for the things that we just blow through quickly, because we've already hit an hour and 20 minutes. We wasted 11 minutes talking about boats, and then we got on to MRAS and all sorts of stuff.
Excuse you, the boats. I mean, this podcast has it all, folks. I mean, this is your one-stop shop for boats.
We talked about a helicopter for a little bit. We not in any kind of detail.
We've had boats. We've had military vehicles. We've had boosted LS engine talk. I mean, y'all are like, this is like my TED talk right here. I can go into military airplanes if you want. I mean, we got it all. Okay, but at least turn the mic on, let me ramble. Boom, done. No articles needed. Just get me on some topics to rant about, and then it's just going to go a long, long road to nowhere.
Pretty much.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Boom. So speaking of TED Talks, the Ayrton, how is this thing pronounced? Ayrton? Aerton. The Volkswagen fancy name that we don't get here in the United States.
Come at me, Volkswagen.
Anywho, there's an R version of it.
There you go, Artian. Boom, call it right there.
Whatever. There's an R version now that makes 315 horsepower, and they also have a wagon now, which makes me salty because that is actually one of the coolest looking VWs.
Can you buy it? Can you buy it here?
No, we cannot buy it here, as a matter of fact.
Fuck you, Volkswagen.
Yeah, F you. Like, legit. It's like the best looking VW sedan.
1v1 me right now.
And it's in a wagon form. Like, I'm sorry, for those of you guys who love the Golf, it's cute. It's not as aggressive as this thing is. And this thing is more of your mid-size / full-size thing. Like, everything about this thing is cool, and we don't get it. So, boom, we're moving on to the next thing. Lamborghini SCV12 is the newest hot stuff out of Lamborghini. Don't you?
It's cool.
It's cool. It has a Ram supercharger, like not a supercharger from a Ram. And yes, don't you get started about how Ram air intakes have been a thing for years. This is slightly different. Ram air is where you still are limited
for forever.
That is when it's limited to the outside airspeed that's coming into the vehicle. This is actually channeled and funneled so the air accelerates at a higher rate as it's traveling into the intake. It is actually compressed. It's aerodynamically compressed, but it is different. It's not just a hole in the hood.
Okay, look. The Pontiac wasn't just a hole in the hood. First of all, there were nostrils in the last generation of Ram Air. Okay, there were nostrils to start out with. 2 of them. Gorgeous. 2002 Trans Am WS6. Look it up. Gorgeous car. Secondly, there was the airbox that was different. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, did that car make more downforce than its GT race car companion?
Okay, that doesn't even matter, because that's like any car today can say, we make more horsepower than our GT race car companion.
No, not horsepower, downforce. I
know, you said downforce, but downforce is regulated like horsepower is.
Downforce.
So it's like, and they don't even actually have a racing version out of it yet, so it's like, it's like a Ford GT, like, no one cares. Your racing car doesn't have any actual road car to go with it.
Oh my god, I just noticed how cute the mirrors are. The mirrors are like these weird little standout hexagons. That's adorable. I've never noticed. I think that's a thing that's normal on the regular Aventador, because obviously this is Aventador based. The Aventador is like Lamborghini's like Challenger Hellcat at this point.
Goes on.
They just keep pushing.
Obviously,
stuff
this has an
out of
aftermarket air cleaner on it, but that's kind of what a Ram airbox looks like.
Yeah, no, this is different. It's actually supercharged. The air is pressurized.
Look, this is functional, okay? And it
This is
rams air
functional.
into the LS engine underneath
Hey, there's a difference
the
between
V6.
funneling pressurized air and ramming air in.
Yeah, and what did Pontiac call it?
A ram air, which this is
Thank you.
not. This is not ram air. It is
Sounds like
supercharged.
guys, you read the article. It's just ram air.
Anywho, it makes
Lamborghini's trying to be
819
special.
horsepower. It's a crazy V12 track only monster. We don't really know what it looks like because it's in that crazy camo stuff. We know it doesn't have
Quote
headlights.
unquote makes more downforce than a GT3 race car.
Yeah, it's got a big
But there's
old
no
wing.
GT3 race car to go along with it.
There is a GT race car to go along with it.
GT race cars are heavily regulated for downforce, weight, power, everything, etc., etc. So,
Well, it
like
still
I
has
mentioned
more.
earlier, it's kind of
Still
like
has
saying
more.
we make more horsepower than the GT car. Hurty dirt,
Still
everybody
more.
does.
And it spits flames, but they all spit flames. I will say, I actually really do overall like the styling of it. Like, it, because I'm a sucker
Yeah, I mean,
for big
as much
time
as it's not
attacky
come
things.
across like I'm hating it, it looks badass. I generally love what Lamborghini does. I'm just giving them for reinventing Ram Air. I mean, it really is. I mean, it is Ram Air, but it's an evolution of Ram Air.
Yeah,
like if
it's
Pontiac was still alive today, and they were still trying to do Ram Air like they did back in the day, they would have evolved into something like this. Like this is using electronics and modern design to make Ram Air efficient and more useful than it ever has been before. And it's really cool. I really do like what Lamborghini is doing with it to kind of make it interesting. It's really cool.
And speaking of technology,
I'm not trying to hate on it as much as it sounded like I was. This is a really cool car.
All right, so continuing with the quickie bits. So we've got next thing, Apple announced like. So I want to let me your phone is a key.
Easy
and
peasy. If you have a 2021 BMW 5 Series, you can use it. If you don't, you're too poor.
Well, and they are planning on apparently rolling it out to some other things. I will say I find it interesting.
It's like CarPlay. Yeah. CarPlay started out in super ultra stuff, and then worked its way down.
Yeah, but I one thing that is kind of interesting for those of you guys who are like tech guys is like, because the whole smartphone car key thing has been, it's been like an app thing for a lot of Hyundai had their app and a bunch of other stuff.
I mean like GM and OnStar, you've been able to unlock your car from your phone for a while.
Yeah.
Jaguar for a while, and Jaguar and Land Rover have had like a band, like a wristband.
Yep.
That's as a car key. Like they call it like the active band or something like that, something similar.
But yeah,
so if you're kayaking or running, you could use that as a car key.
The Apple car key though is kind of some Apple magic in terms of an evolution of that. In that it's kind of sketchy because obviously everything is encrypted nowadays, so it's not as sketchy as like people who don't understand technology would have you think. But at the end of the day, they're saying you can even as much as you can share it to somebody via text message. Now, I'm assuming this is probably from, iPhone or iOS 14 device to iOS 14 device. It's going to be an iPhone thing. But you can even share your digital key card via just a message. So you can literally be like, here's my car key, drive my car. And it's just kind of like that weird, interesting thing where it's like, the way that we access our cars is like evolving in an ever strange kind of way where just like things are digital to the point where even I, as somebody who does understand how safe everything is, my skepticism / paranoia button still goes meep 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 just a tweeny bit.
Yeah, I mean I think it's going to take people time getting used to it on a general basis between people worrying about their phones dying, which Apple has said there's a special reserve that can still unlock your car for hours after your phone completely dies. But I think there's still going to be apprehension in the general public to the new technology. But I think once it comes mainstream, I think it's an awesome idea because it's just one less thing to have in your pockets. Because I have a smart door lock. I can open my garage door from my phone.
Yep, ditto.
So really, the only keys that I carry on with me on a normal basis, I've got my car key, and it has a backup like house key to my smart lock. But that's all I carry on me on a regular basis. If I could, I would hide a backup set of keys somewhere hide a rock or whatever around my house, and just not have to worry about having keys on me at all. If I could have my car be a key for my phone, have my smart lock unlock when I get home, or open my garage door from my phone and get in. It'd be so cool just to be able to carry my phone and not need a key. Barely need a wallet. The other day I ran to 2 stores and I forgot my wallet, but I had my phone on me and I could use tap to pay, and it was just like, this is awesome.
Yep, that's like my phone has saved my bacon so many times when I've forgotten my wallet. To be honest, I would use my phone more often if it wasn't for, because I have a Samsung phone, so I have Samsung Pay, so I can literally use it anywhere, even on non-tap to pay.
I missed that so much because I loved it, because I'd go to stores when I had my Samsung, and they'd be like, "Oh no, we don't do Apple
and you
Pay."
have to be they're like, "We don't do that here," and you're like, "Yes, you do." I stopped doing it because I had people ignorantly, repeatedly tell me I couldn't do it. I'm like, no, I understand what you are saying, and I'm trying to tell you that this is different. But people would be like, no, it's not tap to pay. You're stupid. And I'd be like,
wait.
No, I'm not stupid. You're the stupid.
Yeah. You just sit there and wait.
No, it wasn't.
That was the best, coolest thing. And I'm actually surprised that Apple never came out with that same sort of tech, because
I honestly think it's a patent thing. It's got to be a patent thing. I'm sure it is.
And I'm not trying to shut on Samsung or Apple or any of them, but that is such a nice piece of tech that Samsung Pay is able to do, that makes the ease of use so big that, to me, had Apple come out with that first, it would be a bigger deal, just because of the way Apple fanboys play it out. And I even think, I don't think Samsung fans or even Android fans play up how major that tech is. That you can swipe your cell phone anywhere with Samsung Pay and get, you can use it whether it has tap to pay or not.
By the way, did I mention this was a smartphone podcast?
We are covering everything.
Yeah.
Just like I said, put me in front of a microphone. Let me rant.
Alright, I'm going to try and blast through the rest of these quick bits. They don't have to sit through us much longer here. So, the Bronco was delayed. They're no longer doing it on O.J. Simpson's birthday. Boo!
They revealed the front end. The front end, though, I will say real quick, looks like the spy shots that we've seen.
So we already know what it looks like, so...
Yeah, if you've seen the upcoming spy shots, they pretty much look like they're dead on. The front grille harkens back, has a nice little heritage thing to the original Bronco GG Ford or so special.
Yep. Then we've got, then after that, we've got the 24 Hours of Le Mans it is still happening. But it is going to be happening with spectators this year.
But it's going to be the first one that Corvette misses in a while, which is...
Well, Corvette wouldn't have been able to go anyway, because we are banned from Europe.
Well, part of it's because that they announced that we couldn't go before we got banned from Europe, because the very next weekend there's a major race in IMSA here in the States, so Corvette's focusing on that instead of Le Mans, especially this year, just due to, like you mentioned, travel concerns. So they decided to just go ahead and cancel.
So this is kind of upstanding. So for anyone who purchased tickets for the event before the pandemic forced it back, those people are the ones who are going to get tickets to the new event. So so yesterday they suspended tickets for for the event. So it's that combination of people who registered before lockdown and during lockdown when it was rescheduled. So basically, if you wanted to go, you missed your window because you should have done it before yesterday.
Well, it's
and if you're in America, then get bent because we can't even go.
Well, so IMSA is returning to racing this weekend, I believe, and they're racing at Daytona this weekend, if I remember correctly.
Don't remember.
They're racing at Daytona. I believe it's this weekend or next. I don't have the date in front of me, so sue me. Sorry,
Congratulations, you've been sued.
They're opening up like 5,000 spectators, but you have to be a Florida resident to go. So it makes sense. I get it. But it sucks. Like it's so annoying.
Yeah. Well, and one thing I think is kind of funny is just how there's like such a difference. Like the Indy 500 is officially going to run, but at 50% capacity.
Yeah.
So different races, different things, all have different kind of standards what they're gonna do.
Or like they could be like Geneva and just go ahead and cancel next year.
Yup. Oh my god, dude! I'm so this is COVID has officially canceled something I cared about for next year. Like COVID is now a 2021 thing.
Because it's insane to me, like that they're already not even talking about rescheduling for next year.
No, it's canceled. Well, and they're saying they're canceled because the vendors don't want to go. Or vendors can't go / can't prepare, So they literally said that it was just due to the fact they wouldn't have enough attendance based upon what people are doing. And I think a lot of it is just because right now every automaker just can't commit to anything for the next 18 months.
Well, I'm sad. Like I was really hoping to go to Kentucky Speedway.
Kentucky Fried Speedway?
Yes, this year, but they're not running spectators. For either the truck race or the big boy NASCAR race or the ARCA race, none of it. They're not running any spectators this year. Like that's a major bummer.
Yeah.
And, you have room, like we mentioned with IMSA doing 5,000 spectators at Daytona and Sebring down in Florida. Like you can spread out 5,000 people. Kentucky Speedway.
Well, and at the end of the day, it's like it's all gonna come down to what the track owners are desperate to do and what they think they should do. Because, flat out, people can spread themselves out 5,000 people, but at the same time, those same people are still gonna congregate and touch each other's balls in the bathroom.
And I'm sure they just figure it's not worth it to open up for that few people. Yada yada yada.
Yeah,
it's a shame.
And plus, no motorsports arena wants to be the one showing up in the news.
I will say though, NASCAR has been great at being a leader, not only obviously in their response to the Corona shit. I mean, they pretty much immediately went right to we're doing e-racing, using iRacing. They responded well with Bubba Wallace once all the racial issues started popping off in America. They banned the Confederate flags, and they've been adamant about that. Like, NASCAR's been on their game, so I will give them that. I mean, it's got them back to racing before any other series has been, and they've done it safely. So I have no qualms on NASCAR. I was watching the Pocono race from this past weekend, and I mean, the quality of racing's there. I mean, I can't complain. As much as I'd love to go watch it in person, it's still enjoyable to watch on TV. So if you get a chance, make sure you watch, support your local racing on TV while you can. If you can't get a chance to do it in person.
Yeah.
Sorry. Welcome to my TED Talk.
And speaking of sorry, the Mercedes F1 team is for the 2020 season is officially going to be running they're going to be running a new livery. So most of you guys are very familiar with their silver with the blue line with the little bit of white here and there livery that they've been running pretty consistently for the past few years. But this year they have blacked out the silver as a part, because obviously, Lewis Hamilton is, I was about to call him African American. He's British, but he is black. And so they're doing a Black Lives Matter kind of thing and it's for the entire season, both cars. So, regardless of how you feel about it, I will say the car looks sexy as hell in black. Like, it looks good, especially with that blue accent mark in it. So, that was getting tossed out there. And our final little tiddly bit for the day is going to be about Jessie Combs. So she is.
This is a little sour news, or
it was sour when it was sour before. So, now it's a little bit balanced.
For those of you that might have missed it, Jessie Combs has passed away. last fall, and she passed away while attempting to set a record attempt on the Salt Flats for to be the world's fastest woman. And Guinness Records announced a couple weeks ago, or a week or two ago, that she actually was certified as the world's fastest woman during her attempt that ultimately cost her her life. The reports have said that something must have come out. Like her first run down, so a record attempt is a down and back run. Just it averages both runs. So, unfortunately, the run back, some sort of object got out in front of the car when you're going. What was the record? 470 miles an hour, I believe.
522.783 miles per hour.
So I mean, just sell it short. When you're going that speed, you don't have time to react.
You don't have time to do anything.
So, unfortunately, so that run cost her life, but they were able to certify her as the world's fastest woman during that run, which I think is a very special thing for them to be able to carry on. Obviously, it doesn't bring her back,
but it definitely helps cement her in the history books. It
cements her legacy.
Until some other girl beats it.
Yeah.
But that being said, she does have the added bit that it's like she died on this run, so it will be memorable for that. But seriously, though, huge shout out to Jessie Combs, though, for being one of the many awesome women in motorsports who's actually out there making the rest of us.
She
look like
was a
chumps.
badass. I learned about her through, I believe it was the Smoking Tire podcast, but she went out there and did King of Hammers,
yeah.
She got it. She went for it.
So, that being said, that is going to be the last of our topics for tonight here. We keep trying to make these podcasts an hour long. We're now at an hour and 40 minutes. One of these days we'll get a handle for it, maybe. Who knows? Huge thank you to all of you guys who are regular listeners. I'm going to continue to put this out there until somebody bites, and then maybe afterward. But for any of you guys who have made it here to the end with us, do not hesitate to send me an email, juan@thecolumnshifters.com, and just email, what are we going to go with today? What do we want the word of the day to be, Brian?
Rambling.
Ramble, yep. Email me just the word ramble, and I will find a way to get you $10 to your favorite eating establishment, which means you can get a hell of a lot of Taco Bell, if that is your personal chosen place. As always, if you enjoy our podcast at all, do not hesitate to go ahead and subscribe to us, review us on whatever podcast platform of your choosing. We're on most of them. We're getting on the rest of them hopefully pretty soon. But all the big ones we're on, which may be where you're listening to us.
So I went camping the other day.
What?
And we had an antenna TV. There's one of the stations was broadcasting a podcast channel.
Huh.
We didn't figure out how to get on that one.
Yeah, well, anywho, long story short is huge thank you to all of you guys who are regular listeners. And likewise, don't hesitate to go back and listen to some of our past episodes. And if you're really, really itching for it, our old podcast was the Our Cars podcast, which is currently on Shout Engine, iTunes, and Google Play Music. Which has evolved to the Google podcast.
I just realized what I forgot to talk about earlier when I was trying to bitch about the F-150.
Wow.
I only ended up bitching about real quick.
We gotta go. We gotta let these people go.
Quick rewind though. F-150 has a ability to fold the center console over to give you a workspace.
You pulled us back for that for the desktop.
So when it folds back for the desktop, it has to electronically fold the shifter down into the center console.
There's a button that unerects your shift.
Which is ridiculous that it has to do that, because if you look to the name of our fancy podcast, the Column Shifters, and our fancy website, go read our articles. The Column Shifters. The Column Shifters. If you have a column shifter, You don't have to have this freaking fold down.
All right. Anywho, check out our
console
website.
shifter.
Check out our podcasts, and we're gonna let you go. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye. Sorry for my ranting.